Hello everyone, if you're watching this, lucky you. Funnily enough, I've recorded this immediately after the first video you've got this week. So I'm spending my Friday late afternoon doing this. How lucky are you? Today we are going to move on to electoral systems. Those who did national, you will know a bit about AMS already. However, I'm going to recap everything. One, because I know it's one of the areas that nationals find really tricky last year. Two, there is no harm in repeating it because repetition is what helps you understand it. Three, some people don't remember or haven't done it before, and it's better if everybody has the same information for equal reasons. You need to be able to understand the different systems we use. We are going to look at two. However, if any of you have bought How to Pass higher guides or past papers, there is another system called STV. We are not looking at that, don't worry. You need to look at two, and these are the two that are probably best for us to do. You need to be able to explain how successful each of these are and their limitations. So why are they good? Why are they not good? I've put this here because there's a few words that I'm going to use today that you may not remember, or it's always good to have a little reminder of. If I use the word seat, I don't physically mean like a hardback seat like this. A seat is what we say when an MP has won their vote, their election. So they win a seat in the House of Commons. Now, they don't have a seat that has their name on it. It's a pew in the House of Commons. It's very cramped. There's not enough room for them. But if you hear me say they've won their seat, that means they've won the election. The electorate are the group of people who are eligible to vote. Now, it's very, very easy to go, electorate are the people who voted. No. The electorate are those who can vote. The turnout is the people who did vote. So in theory, your electorate is everybody who in the UK is over 18, is not in prison, is not the royal family, does not live abroad, was born in the UK. That's your electorate. They are allowed to vote if they choose to. Turnout is the people who do actually bother to go and vote. Ballot is the paper that you vote on. You put your X on, it's a ballot paper. Constituency, this is the name of the area a member of parliament represents. It's normally quite a small area. So for Westminster, we have Aberdeen North and Aberdeen South. If you're looking at Scotland, be careful because we have Aberdeen Central and then different ones around it. But basically it's, if you look at a map, they put lines on it, the constituencies, the group of people MPs represent. In the context of what we're talking about today, a region is a group of constituencies together. Regions are going to come into AMS only, and it's looking at Scottish elections only for the purposes of what we're doing. So I've said we have Aberdeen Central. That is a constituency. A region, however, would be the whole northeast of Scotland. Now, within that, there's going to be loads of different constituencies. We're also going to look at safe and marginal seats. A safe seat is essentially one that's going to be really difficult for anybody else to win because you've got the majority of the votes. So you're pretty comfy, you can kind of relax. You have to do a good job, but it'd be really difficult for someone to beat you out. A marginal seat is one that you're going to have to fight for every single vote because every single vote is going to keep you in that job. Without further ado, let's kick off. Here are a couple of possible exam questions. You can pause the video to have a look at those in more detail. And what I need you to know from this is 2 electoral systems, 2 weaknesses minimum each, 2 strengths each. I'm recommending 3 because it gives you a little bit of choice come exam time if one is not your strong point, but 2 each minimum. I would recommend that you think about this when you're looking for, right, how do I know if it's a strength or a weakness? Representation, fairness, choice, and complexity. Representation, is it a fair representation? Does it equally represent the constituents? Fairness, does it give everyone the same chance? Does it give women and ethnic minorities more of a chance? Choice, do the electorate have a fair choice of who they want to represent them? And complexity, is it an easy vote or difficult to understand? The term electoral systems basically means how we vote. Do you go out and put pennies in a box? Do you put an X in a box? Do you hold a poll or walk to one side of the room? So have a think, how many different ways can you think that we've voted on anything? It doesn't have to be politics. It could be that you voted for something in school once, or you voted for something online, or the X Factor, or I don't know, do you vote on Love Island? I don't know, someone keep me right. You know what I mean though, there's different ways of voting there. The main thing is you want decisions to be made easily and you want to represent the people. So when you see FPTP in the term of politics, it's first past the post. First past the post is the most straightforward, easy electoral system. Every person gets one vote. So you're elected at one person, one vote. One constituency gets one MP. So we're talking about Westminster here. And it's first past the post because it's the person with the most votes wins. It's a bit like in horse racing, whoever gets past the post first. So either whoever gets most or over half of the possible votes wins the seat. That's it. As easy as that. What does this look like? Here's a diagram, again, for those who maybe prefer visual learning. This is from the BBC Bite Size website. There are 650 constituencies in the UK. They each get one MP, therefore we have 650 MPs in the House of Commons down in Westminster. This system's been used for hundreds of years. It's dead easy, dead basic. You put an X in the box. You can put another symbol in the box, and if it is clear that you're voting for that person, they will accept it. But you get very silly people who draw lots of silly symbols, and it sometimes can go against them. So X in the box is easiest. However, one of the difficulties we do find with this is actually more people can vote against you than actually voted for you, because all you need is to win by one vote. This is an example from Moray. For those that don't know, Moray is a constituency that is just a little bit northwest from here. So it's out in the country, it's a little bit rural. Think Elgin, Lossiemouth way. In the December elections in 2009, Douglas Ross for the Conservative Party won the seat. But pause the video and actually take a look at how many votes he got. Okay, I'm going to assume you've paused the video. Out of just short of 49,000 votes, he got 22,000. I should say as well here, for the purposes of hire, you can round numbers. So you will need to have some numbers, some statistics, some percentages to prove your point. You can round them up or down as long as it is close to what it is. So if you went and told me out of 90,000 votes, he had 70,000, you'd be wrong. But if you said out of 49,000 votes, he had just over 20,000, you would get the mark for that. If you look at all the other votes combined, he actually had more people vote against him. There was more people in Moray did not want Douglas Ross to get the seat, yet because he had more, he won. The grids I'm showing you here are suggestions on how you can gather your notes in an easy to understand way. If it was me doing this, I would put the 4 kind of positives that I've got here of first past the post on one side and give my evidence to support that on the other. So examples, percentages, sentences, buzzwords that link to that. Find what works for you, but this is my suggestion. The document you have assigned does have written versions of this, but I'm also aware some of you prefer listening, like if we were in class or taking some notes. The best benefit of first past the post is it's dead easy to understand. Anyone can get to grips with it. You go in, you say to the person who you are, the polling clerk, you get your ballot paper, you put an X in one box, you fold it, you put that in the box. Done. If something is easy to understand, what does that mean in terms of voting? If it's easy, are people going to do it or not do it? So that's where your analysis comes in. Hopefully that makes sense. So your knowledge marks come from, it is easy to understand because it's one X in the box. This therefore means people are more likely to turn out to vote because they know exactly what they have to do. It's also good because it's been used for elections for hundreds of years. We've had loads of stable governments. So it suggests that first past the post is actually a successful system. It usually creates a clear government. The majority of the time, we will get a majority government through first past the post. We know from the work we did last week that in 2019, Boris Johnson secured a majority. We also know that if you go back in the 90s, Tony Blair had a majority. There are a couple of occasions, which I'll come to, where it hasn't happened, but it does tend to lead to a strong government. It also gives voters a clear choice. You choose that candidate or that candidate or that one or that one or that one. I like that one, I'm picking them. You also have one member of parliament for your constituency, for your area. Therefore, that MP is likely to know that area very well. They'll know the problems of that area, what that area is good for. Is it, for example, an area that relies on jobs in oil? Is it an area that, for example, in the 80s, a big thing was areas that relied on coal mines? The MPs are going to know the potential problems that area will face. So that is good, because that means they can vote on laws the way that will affect their people the best. However, we do find that lots of votes are wasted. People turn up and they vote, and it is counted. So I don't mean wasted as in it's literally chucked away. And it's counted, but it didn't matter because that person got more than one vote. That is where your example you could use is the Douglas Ross case, going, actually, you could argue over 20,000 votes were wasted because they stood no chance of getting their person elected. First past the post does not always create a majority. Theresa May in 2017 ended up with a minority government. She ended up having to strike a deal with the DUP. Now, the DUP are an Irish political party. Traditionally, they actually, although they've had MPs elected, their MPs have never sat in the House of Commons. There's a big argument there about who should be in charge of Irish politics that we can do another day. So it wasn't an official coalition. However, Theresa May knew she couldn't pass Brexit laws without the support of other MPs. She also knew the Labour Party, the SNP, the Lib Dems had all clubbed together to say they were voting against her. So she couldn't rely on any of them to rebel and to vote with her. She needed people on her side. She promised the DUP certain things, that they wouldn't make laws in certain areas or that they would give them funding for things. Now, that wasn't voted for. Nobody voted to let the DUP get control of power. And as one of the smallest political parties in Westminster, they had a huge influence. That's not good. We also know it's not as representative. You can get a small number of votes, yet end up with a majority of seats. For example, Boris Johnson has got over 50% of the seats currently in Westminster, but he got under 45% of the national vote. That's not equal. And the last one that's not good about it is we also know the biggest two parties are always favoured. Labour and Conservative statistically are always going to do better in the election. They get more media coverage, they have more money, they're more likely to have MPs, people are more knowledgeable about them. So if you come from a small party or you're an independent candidate, you are just a person in your constituency, not linked to a political party that just wants to make a difference, you've got a very difficult job to win that election. You've got an even harder job to get your voice heard in Parliament. Because is anyone going to bother getting that one independent candidate on side or the two Green MPs? Okay, that's first past the post. Please rewind and rewatch that if you need. I did mention in the other video I'm hoping to put together, so hopefully by the time you see this, it'll be up online, a little visual of how first past the post in AMS works for you. AMS is the Additional Members System. It's used in Scottish elections. I'm going to make clear here, it is not used to select Scottish MPs. It is used for Scottish MSPs only, so please be careful of that. When it comes to elections, this is only for elections for Holyrood and Edinburgh for MSPs. One person gets 2 votes, so that is very different. It means that everybody actually ends up with 8 MSPs representing them. You get 1 constituency MSP. So that is very similar to first past the post. You get 1 of those, but you end up with 7 regional or list MSPs. Now I've put here that either word's okay. I will admit I quite often interchange and will say, oh, a regional or a list MSP. It's the same thing, so don't panic. One of the votes is very like first past the post. It's the person you like best. Oh, I like John. John gets my vote. I like Hannah. Hannah gets my vote. The other one, however, is got nothing to do with names. It's purely based on the political party that you see in front of you. These are what the voting sheets look like, your ballot papers look like. On the left, that's the one that's an orangey colour. It's your regional members. This is for the political party you like the best, and you just put an X in the box. So it is still a dead simple 1X, that's it. The one on the right is the person that you like. So the candidate, John, Sarah, Hannah, Bob, whoever it might be. Now, they will be linked quite often to political parties, and you might have someone that is standing as an independent as well. So both need an X in the box, but both get you very different things. The one on the right, now I'm doing that one because it's a constituency member. You're voting for one person, one human being that you see their name on the sheet. That is the easiest one. That is essentially a first past the post vote. Whoever gets the most votes there wins the constituency seat. Dead simple. However, it's the regional one that is a bit more complicated. The way this works, in advance of an election, political party head offices get together. They create a list of all their candidates that they would love to get into the Scottish Parliament. And they rank them in order. Right, we really need to get Holly in. She is number 1 on our SNP list. Right, we really need to get David in. He's number 1 on the Conservative list. And they make a whole list of all their MSPs. That list is effectively saved. Nobody knows who's on the list. They know they'll be considered as a list MSP. Many of those people are actually running as a constituency MSP. So if they win the constituency seat, their name just gets plucked out of the list and everybody moves up a number. The regional MSPs is decided by a maths formula, which you don't need to know. The way it works, once the constituency votes have been counted and the winners have been declared, they go through the regional votes. They look at the percentage of votes those political parties have, and they work out roughly how many MSPs that political party should get to match the percentage of votes. The aim of the regional, the aim of the list is basically to go, right, you had 40% of the votes, you need to have roughly 40% of the MSPs. Here is our current situation. So this is taken from the 2016 Scottish election. On the left, that brightly coloured map is our constituencies. You can see Aberdeen, all of Aberdeen is SNP, it's yellow. However, if you look at the AMS seats, these are your list seats, and our region is the northeast of Scotland. If you look here, this is Aberdeen, and actually they've had to maximise it here. Aberdeen Central is teeny tiny in here, but all of these constituencies here, bigger than the pink circle, actually make up the northeast. They worked out based on percentages, because SNP won quite a lot of seats in the northeast, actually, it wouldn't be fair to give them more list MSPs. They looked at the percentage of votes and worked out that given the percentage, we should get 4 Conservatives, 2 Labour and 1 Lib Dem, on top of what we have already. Okay. It is quite a lot to take in, so go back and repeat that with AMS. You've got 1 constituency, 1 political party. Good things about it. It's proportional. It's not exact, but we do know that if a party gets 45% of the votes in the whole of Scotland, they will get almost 45% of the seats, or thereabouts. We also know smaller parties get a chance. In 2016, the Green Party stood candidates in the majority of constituencies in Scotland. However, they didn't win any constituency seats, but they did get quite a lot of the vote percentage and ended up with 6 MSPs. The list system also allows for more women and ethnic minorities to be represented. We know in politics, women and ethnic minorities are less likely to put themselves forward as candidates. We also know that those groups are less likely to win an election because people vote for people like them, which the majority of people who vote are still men. We are changing this, but that is the current case. However, the list system, political parties could rank women above men to make it as equal as possible. We actually know this has been successful, and it hasn't meant that women or ethnic minorities dominate Parliament. It means that they are closer to being representative of the population. Women make up 51% of the population, therefore they should make up almost 50% of people in Parliament. That's currently not the case, but we are getting better. It's also good because you could argue a coalition government is a good thing. AMS very rarely gives you a majority government. The majority government has only happened once in the 20 years of the Scottish Parliament, and that was in the 2011 election. The SNP won a majority. That was a surprise. Nobody expected that to happen. Even your head political scientist didn't think that would happen. The SNP currently rule under a minority government. That means their laws or their legislation they want to pass have got to bring other political parties on board. They can't just go, we'll do it anyway. They have to rely on support. That can mean that there's a lot of scrutiny on bills, but it's going to benefit a lot of people. However, you probably guessed one of the disadvantages is really complicated. It's not too bad if you just think, right, just 2 votes, that's fine. When you get into looking at how list MSPs are allocated, it's not easy to understand. Think back to first past the post. Which one are you more likely to turn out to vote for? Let's be honest. Probably the first past the post ones. Another difficulty, however, is MSPs can serve a large area. There's no accountability. If you look at the size of the northeast of Scotland, the needs of an individual who lives in the very heart of Aberdeen city, a busy urban city, lots going on, lots of transport, lots of different jobs, compared to a farmer who's living out in the middle of nowhere in rural Aberdeenshire, they have very different needs. One law could affect those 2 groups very differently. So how do MSPs vote? How do they get held to account by the people they represent? Another issue is it gives a lot of power to the parties. The political party decides who's on the list, not the public. You could absolutely hate the person at the top of the list, and you could actually say, I've seen them, they're a bit problematic, they've been in the news, I don't really like their values, yet because the political party want them, they've won a seat. Now that's not fair. The other issue is coalitions are not voted for. Nobody votes for Labour and Lib Dems to come together like they did at the beginning of the Scottish Parliament in the 1990s, but it happened. But nobody said that's a possibility and that's what they wanted. The last little bit we're going to do this week is looking at safe and marginal seats. You will not get a question specifically on safe and marginal seats. However, it does really help your understanding if you can get your head around this. There are also excellent examples you can use when discussing first past the post in AMS. A safe seat is one which is going to be really difficult for another political party to win over. It's one where the person has normally won a majority of the votes, so actually convincing all those people to vote for a different party, it's a lot of effort. The example I've given you here is Aberdeen North. It's a safe seat. Kirsty Blackman, our current MP in this area, won a majority of the votes in the last election in 2019. She actually won 54% of the votes for Aberdeen North. Now, if she's got over half, and as an MP, you only need 1 more than the second place to win, would I be investing money to campaign in Aberdeen North if I was a Green Party or a Lib Dem? Would it be worth my time and effort if I know she's already got half? The other issue that causes, however, is it can also put people off voting. Oh, well, my vote's not going to count because I don't want to vote for Kirsty, but over half the people here do. So what's the point in voting? Hopefully that makes sense. What you see what I'm talking about? Why would you go out to vote on a horrible rainy day if you know she's going to win anyway? I should clarify, you should always vote. Every single vote counts. It's so important and it makes a difference, but it would be very easy to kind of go, doesn't matter. On the other hand, a marginal seat, and this is what you see on the map to your right, is one where a political party literally is begging for every single vote. They can't get complacent. They can't take a day off because they know it would be really easy for another political party to swoop in and convince some of their constituency to vote for someone different. The coloured areas that you see on that map there are the areas that won by a margin of less than 10%. Example here is Andrew Bowie, who became an MP for Aberdeenshire, West and Kincardineshire in the last election. He was actually elected in 2015 and held the seat. However, his majority dropped. He had a really strong majority in 2015, but in December it was about 800 votes. Now, 800 might sound a lot of people, but if you're saying, actually, when you look at how he won, if you take a look here, that's how many votes were in it. Pause the video, have a look at that. When you look at the numbers, 800 out of a constituency of over 50,000, it's not a lot of votes to play with. So, to go back to the question, if you were a political party there, now he's Conservative, would you be looking to spend money there? Is it going to make more sense to campaign there than it would in Aberdeen North? Probably, because you're going to have less work to do there. Does that make sense? I feel very odd going, does that make sense, and not seeing you nodding or going, yeah, miss, I get it, that's fine. So please do comment and let me know. What I would ask is, by the end of this week, can you describe to me what first past the post and AMS are each? Can you give me 3 advantages for each and 3 disadvantages? Can you explain how these systems help to represent people or how they fail? This is evaluating. So I know some of you, the evaluation, the analysis, it's new. We are going to build this up. So don't panic if it's not perfect yet. We're getting there. Evaluating is saying, right, first past the post is good at representing people because MPs are easily elected, because every person gets 1 MP, so they know who to go to. That's good representation. Oh, I have a problem, I go see Kirsty. She knows what to do. However, first past the post is not good at representing because smaller parties don't get a say, or it's more difficult as an independent candidate. Does that make sense? So if I say how they represent people, we're looking for how are they good at putting people's views across and how are they not? And then evaluate which system might be most effective. Now, there is no right answer there because both first past the post and AMS are effective. They're also ineffective in certain areas. What I am looking for there is, can you, if I was to ask you, say, which one do you think is better, give me your opinion backed up with evidence. So you can't just say, oh, that one. You need to tell me why. Analysis comes down to the why. The why, and I'm going to keep going on about that until we all feel confident and comfortable. I hope this all makes sense. I will do the live meet. Let me check my little timetable. I don't know if you'll see it on the camera. I've made myself a little timetable for the week. We will meet on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I will be on meets. If you don't want to go live on the meets, I'll be on emails. I am available throughout the rest of the week, but that is the dedicated hour. I can promise that Higher Modern has my full attention for the hour. I'm not going to be doing TikToks, so nice try. I'm also going to say, to check that you've watched this video, can you comment below on a post on the stream, so not under the video, comment on a post on the stream with either an interesting fact about yourself or your favourite movie. My favourite movie is probably Toy Story 2 or 3, but 3 is quite emotional. So I'd like an interesting fact about you or something that you're willing to share. Don't put something if you don't want everyone knowing to comment on the stream. That way I'll know if you're watching this and I'll be able to see who's engaging in Higher Modern. Have a good week, guys. I will hopefully see you all on Tuesday and just get in touch if there's anything I can help with.